Next up, we got Dean Disaster. Bro, we got President Dean back. Let's go. Should I read this before or after? Screw it. We'll read it before. Out of respect for the but then what about spoilers? Alright, no spoilers. Dean Disaster, the story of America's worst TV hijacking. Oh, okay, that was during the Dean's during his presidency. Where it like started playing nothing but like Dean propaganda.
During a broadcast of ABC Evening News, anchor Frank Reynolds told viewers to be prepared for tomorrow and that they would witness the start of a glorious adventure. Word spread quickly throughout the country, and civilians invited friends and family to their homes in anticipation of the next day. Although no details of this glorious adventure were known, it was widely presumed to be another exciting TV announcement from President James Dean. Watching parties were organized in living rooms across America, and on the evening of May 13, 1969, after the ABC Evening News ended, televisions were closely watched with millions of unblinking eyes. No one...
Now, this is actually concerning as all get out. The reason for that is my ongoing theory is that President Dean is actually a cognito hazard. I don't know how or why or what the rhyme or reason for it is, but somehow Dean is able to, just looking at him, just listening to him talk, looking at him, sort of puts you into a mind control state, which is why he was able to win the presidency so easily. Which is, and if that's true, this is concerning.
Wanted to miss what President Dean had to say.
James Dean's America is hell. But you still don't believe us. You'll hear the truth from James Dean himself.
Oh, this is a great, bro. This is some good classic politics debates.
Immediately following the broadcast,
you said that he was gonna say it, but I don't think he didn't say nothing. He just started yelling at me.
Air raid sirens activated across all 50 states. The sirens blared at a far greater volume than usual and burst the eardrums of every civilian within a 4-mile radius. The resulting panic,
damn! Why you gotta do that?
Triggered severe overcrowding at bomb shelters and deadly stampedes in the streets. Thousands were trampled and hospitals were overwhelmed within the hour. Fires broke out in all major cities, and cars left running in the streets produced lethal amounts of carbon monoxide, which flowed into...
Bro, that's insane. So this guy used the image of James Dean in order to, like, influence everyone. I mean, because it's true, if James Dean is a living, breathing cognito hazard, in theory, you'd be able to just use the image of him to manipulate people and like, start a panic, a riot.
Poorly ventilated bomb shelters.
Something as simple as this could really, like,
homes.
make people flip out.
In Washington, D.C., the White House was placed into lockdown immediately after the TV hijacking, and President Dean was rushed.
I love this shot, by the way.
In Washington,
they gotta make sure the Washington Monument's in the background over there.
D.C., the White House was placed into lockdown immediately after the TV hijacking, and President Dean was rushed to a maximum security underground bunker. Able to hear the anguished screams of civilians in the streets above, Dean refused to stay in the shelter. When carbon monoxide alarms went off in the bunker, he urged his staff to exit the White House with him and shut off the vehicles left on the roadways. With a phone call, Dean mobilized the National Guard to assist with the deactivation of the millions of parked vehicles across America. Several more phone calls to high-ranking military officials and world leaders revealed that no nuclear missiles had in fact been launched. President Dean soon realized that the air raid sirens had been hijacked by a domestic organization and immediately ordered all forces of the military to disable every active siren in the nation. When military technicians arrived at the location of the sirens, they found that the bodies of prior technicians, who had perished from the combination of stress and the siren's sheer volume, piled so high as to have formed a ramp to the top of the speakers. The overcrowding of streets by civilians and unaccompanied...
Wait, so those were prior technicians? Or just people were trying to get to it?
When military technicians arrived at the location of the sirens, they found that the bodies of prior technicians, who had perished from the combination of stress and the siren's sheer volume, piled so high as to have formed a ramp to the top of the speakers.
These sirens became a freaking weapon of mass destruction.
The overcrowding of streets by civilians and unaccompanied cars frequently blocked the path of emergency vehicles and prolonged the process of disarming the sirens. Against his advisor's wishes, President Dean tasked himself with the deactivation of an air siren near the White House. Although he would accomplish the task fairly quickly, Dean sustained permanent ear damage and was rendered fully deaf. The sheer volume had also caused countless blood vessels in his body to burst and produce several abdominal hernias. His condition was shared among the millions of other Americans who had been near the sirens at the time of their activation.
What a legend, though. Bro really sacrificed his freaking ears, though.
3 hours would pass before all air raid sirens would be fully disabled.
So, whoever this guy is, he specifically used James Dean's image in order to be able to effectively create a cognitohazard weapon. Because because you have to understand, right? Think about it. We're at 4.5. Listen to what the message was, right?
You'll hear the truth. America is hell.
Like, listen to this, right?
James Dean's America is hell. But you still don't believe us. You'll hear the truth from James Dean himself.
So they implanted the idea that James Dean's America is hell, right? Then they put the cognitohazard on the screen, alter it a little bit to make it look more demonic, right? But then the only thing it says is like the sound of the siren. So theoretically, if James Dean is a cognitohazard, now that that idea has been implanted into your head, anytime you hear that siren, all those emotions and those thoughts that are implanted from this message here,
believe us,
is basically just being looped and repeated into your brain, being forced and burned into your brain via cognitohazard. So all these technicians
fires, broken homes, maximum
that like sacrifice themselves basically were just being bombarded with a cognitohazardous message. And so the stress of it, like, unalive them.
Piled path of an... The sheer volume house.
James Dean only went deaf, really, because, like, he was able to single-handedly do it, because he himself, he's immune to his own cognitohazard.
So he would accomplish the task fairly quickly. Dean sustained...
But apparently, they still set the siren so loud that it still injured him anyways.
Permanent ear damage and was rendered fully deaf. The sheer volume had also caused countless blood vessels in his body to burst and produce several abdominal hernias. His condition was shared among the millions of other Americans who had been near the sirens at the time of their activation. 3 hours would pass before all air raid sirens would be fully disabled. The next morning, at the advice of federal authorities, civilians slowly made their way from the shelters back to their homes. Although some continued to stay in the shelters for fear of radioactive fallout, most accepted the explanation given by military officials over the radio. There is no nuclear holocaust. A domestic terrorist organization hijacked the sirens of America.
At that point, you gotta, like, just put out a message like, alright, listen. This was a false flag. This was this didn't work, this wasn't real, but, y'all gotta do better in a real situation. Y'all really just left the cars on, like, turn the freaking car off, put it in park, turn it off, get to the bunker, like, it's not that difficult.
Streets were littered with bodies and automobiles. The National Guard handed out blindfolds to the young, sick, and elderly as they exited the shelters to prevent the scenes of bloodshed from causing fainting spells and heart attacks. At the Walt Disney Medical Center, physicians examined President Dean and other members of his staff who helped disarm the sirens. All were diagnosed with severe hearing loss. Against his doctor's advice, Dean insisted on issuing a public statement on the traumatic events that had transpired.
Oh, damn, is that why he did it? Think about it.
Hearing loss. Against his doctor's advice.
Think about it. Now that so many people are deafened by this event, they can't hear the cognitohazardous message from President Dean. So since they no longer can hear the message from President Dean, they might be able to escape some of the cognitohazardous effects. Now, Dean could do a workaround for this, right? By putting, visual text and a picture of him. I just don't know if that would have the same effect.
Dean insisted on issuing a public statement on the traumatic events that had transpired. Although he initially wanted to appear on live television, a glance at the mirror discouraged him, as he saw the countless bruises and tears present.
Yeah, he looks messed up, bro.
On his skin due to the intensity of the sirens. In coordination with technicians from the Department of Defense, President Dean instead organized a large-scale radio broadcast, utilizing the very air raid sirens they had disabled. Later that night, a bruised...
And now the people can't hear it. They can't see, so if his face is ruined, is the cognitohazardous effect gone too? You get what I'm saying? They can't hear him, they can't see him. This guy is single-handedly, even though it's a terrible thing what he did and messed up, he did technically just break the chains that James Dean had on the U.S.
Frank Reynolds would announce on ABC Evening News that Dean would speak through the sirens and that captions would be displayed simultaneously on television for viewers who were hard of hearing.
Now, I forgot the name of the organization, but we do know that there is an organization that's been, specifically attacking maize companies and has been warning people about the monuments and the sacrifices that are potentially happening in the monuments.
I'm sorry. Very sorry for what's come to pass. I wish I could bring back your friends, your family. I want to fix everything. This is not the announcement I planned for. But as you know, there are people who have it in for us. The Anti-Dean Association.
Right, okay, so that's the name of the organization. So the ADA like, even though it's a funny name, right? It's the Anti-Dean Association, but effectively it's because Dean is literally the cognito hazard, like, tool that they use in order to control Americans. Now, I don't know if it's just America in general, you know, the greater conspiracy, the secret government, the secret world order. I don't know, like, what exactly it is. That's like that like, I don't know who Dean is working for specifically, but the ADA has specifically targeted Maze, the Maze Company. Now they're going after Dean directly, like the White House.
They hijack our systems. They hurt people. The Anti-Dean Association is an anti-American association. I want you to keep an eye out for them. They will not be hard to find because they are very proud of their silly ideas. Find them and bring them to your local authorities. We'll make things right. We have places for people like them. This is Jimmy, signing off.
Oh, they're gonna turn these freaking people into Lincoln lookers.
Over the next week, hundreds of thousands of anti-Deaners would be apprehended and sent to correctional facilities around the United States. These facilities, meant for the anti-American, were aptly located near or at national monuments in order to symbolize a return to American virtues. Most
nah,
would stay for
son,
minutes.
My booty cheeks. No, they're doing it to be able to sacrifice them to the monuments. One of the monuments is literally the freaking I forgot her freaking name.
A few weeks before being released again. Friends.
It's the Fallen Angel, right? Is the name they gave her? Freedom Faller. Okay, so this was called the Freedom Faller.
And family of rehabilitated,
and we know it's alive. The Freedom Statue, the Statue of Freedom, like she is alive. She has this she freaking sacrificed the daughter of the artist that created her, and more than likely, at the very least, whenever she was attacked or dropped, she attacked people. Whether she needs sacrifices or anything like that, I don't know. But we know that if provoked, she absolutely will body you.
Anti-Deaners frequently claimed that they would have improved personalities, no recollection of their past criminal activities, and even slightly altered physical appearances. These methods were so effective in calming the
lightly altered physical appearances. That just sounds like you're replacing people.
Terrorist that many innocent civilians requested themselves to be sent to these facilities in hopes of radically changing their lives. However, federal authorities would
some people even wanted to be sent there?
Deny any admission to those who were not affiliated with the ADA. During one address,
yeah, they don't want anyone non-ADA to go there because it's because then because they're freaking sacrificing and replacing them.
President Dean acknowledged the high volume of requests from the public.
I mean, whatever's living in the Statue of Liberty, for sure, like, it was being fed immigrants. Flat out. And not, it's just due to modern day politics, I'm going to specify. Not illegal immigrants, just any and all immigrants that were coming into the U.S. were being sacrificed in the monument mythos. To the serpent that lives inside the Statue of Liberty. Specifically the pedestal. The Alcatraz Island creature, I think, just sort of attacked. I don't know if sacrificing people to it would appease it or anything like that, but it sort of just attacked the West Coast. The mushrooms on the Mount Rushmore, I don't think that would need any sacrifices. Maybe the Freedom Faller, maybe the statue, the Freedom Statue, like needs some kind of a sacrifice. I just don't think so.
Hey, it's Jimmy again. A lot of you want to be sent to the same places.
Oh, and of course the Lincoln Lookers. The Lincoln Lookers that are like consistently being used. So that's another technically like type of deal where you would sacrifice people. Maybe the special trees. I do believe the special tree requires it needs blood to be watered. So I think that potential, and we know of two. We know that there's one in the Washington Monument and one at the Rockefeller. Now I don't know what happened to that one actually at the Rockefeller Center.
We're sending those anti-demons too. I get it. Those who come out of these places, they look clean as a whistle. But if we send you to those places too, then those correctional facilities lose their purpose. If we send everyone to prison, then what's a prison anymore? This is Jimmy signing off.
Dude, he's such a cognito hazard that he genuinely has people wanting to be imprisoned and re-educated by him. Insane.
On the morning of May 22nd, 9 days after the disaster, President Dean received a state-of-the-art hearing implant from Maze Machines, an up-and-coming tech company. Around noon at the Walt Disney Medical Center, the device was surgically inserted into Dean.
At the Walt Disney Medical Center.
The sound quality of the implant and the speedy nature of the surgery inspired Dean to imagine a new government department, which would be able to oversee the mass production and distribution of quality hearing implants to the American public. That evening, President Dean requested an emergency session of Congress and proposed
it's like the ID chips they're trying to implant it to people now, IRL.
Ambitious project.
I can't hear a damn thing. Did you hear me? I can't hear a damn thing. Neither can you, or you, or you, or you. It doesn't matter whether you.
Then why are we talking? What?
Sirens or not. None of you are listening. We need to bring together those technology companies to build and send hearing devices that the public needs. Hearing devices that you yourself need. And through a collaboration with the Department of Health, we can give back to the people what our failures took away.
Okay, he's a cognito hazard, but come on, US, we just got the technology to bring people's eyeballs back, I think we are helping out quite a few people, but it's is that you know what I'm saying? We gotta mass produce all these solutions, you know what I'm saying?
We can let a mother hear her child laugh again.
I like this guy. You know what? James Dean's already convincing me. I'll vote for him.
Everyone their hearing again. And who's stopping you? Listen.
A man can hear his dog again.
A man hear his dog again.
He can hear bro. You can hear Kaya whimpering and screaming every time Hassan freaking shocks her.
Give everyone their hearing again. And who's stopping you? Listen to the public. You're all about deadlines too. So here's one. By July 4th, I want every American to hear the fireworks.
Due to a malfunction in his auditory
What's gonna happen on July 4th?
Dean was unable to hear himself and as a result spoke much louder on the Senate floor than on previous occasions. The volume of his speech, which greatly amplified his
They keep freaking showing the Freedom Father. Are they sacrificing people to the freedom to Statue of Freedom?
American people profoundly affected the senators, and in the early hours of May 23, 1969, after 10 hours of discussion, the Department of Technology was approved. It was the fastest an executive department had ever been established. By May 27th, all persons with hearing loss attributed to the anti-Dean disaster would be eligible for the surgical implantation of a hearing device free of charge. Mass operating rooms would be established throughout the U.S., able to house over 1,000 patients at once. The use of surgical androids was approved on June 6th, which increased the number of surgeries performed per day over 250%. Once all victims had device free of charge. Mass operating rooms would be established throughout the U.S.
What are these freaking bunkers, bro? Nah, they're getting prepared for something.
Able to house over 1,000 patients at once. The use of surgical androids was approved on
That's what they freaking look like? They got freaking surgical androids? Come on now.
June 6th, which increased the number of surgeries performed per day over 250%. Once all victims had been treated, those with deafness unrelated to the disaster also became eligible for the surgery. On July 4th,
Including
it
Helen
was
Keller.
announced that there was no incidence of severe hearing loss in the country. The United States was the first nation in the world to eradicate deafness. The achievement had been expected for some time since its first mention during Dean's congressional address. In preparation, many health organizations, both domestic and international, had prepared to host banquets for Dean and grant awards to him and his staff. However, President Dean spent the entirety of Independence Day racing cars with close friend Richard Nixon at a local speedway.
Yeah, bro is just bro is a menace with this. All he does is race cars with Nixon. What is Nixon? Oh wait, nah. They keep mentioning the fact that anytime James Dean does something major and important, he keeps going back to talk to Nixon. Let's go drive race cars with Nixon. Why?
Though many would cite the recovery from the anti-Dean disaster as James Dean's finest hour, the president was never willing to accept responsibility.
All we did was fix some ears.
So, I'm starting to feel like maybe Nixon is kind of like... I think Richard Nixon is kind of the man behind the scenes here. You know, like Dean keeps... Why does he keep reporting back to him? But like, even if that's the case, even if Nixon is using Dean as a cognito hazard, it seems like things should, like the Anti-Dean Association, the ADA, is like starting to fight back in a major way. Like he can't really ignore them anymore. They're not just a silly organization anymore. I'm pretty sure that Alex Casana is just meant to be it's just like the creator of the series. So I still gotta figure out who the other like Vinegar Heads guys were, but regardless, this one specifically was freaking awesome. But it's too consistent, him going back to Nixon and racing cars after major events like this. Out of respect for deaf culture, the surgical processes developed under the Dean administration were made optional for all Americans. However, acute social pressure compelled nearly every citizen with deafness to accept medical treatment. Those who were against treatment were frequently ostracized from society, and some were even harassed into fleeing the country. You basically had to freaking get the implant, or get out. But then what else could that implant have in it, you know? Nah, that's insane, because now they have implants in the majority of Americans. Across the US, it's freaking nuts. If anything, the ADA made things worse. Because now he has implants in all the Americans. But, like, is James Dean specifically, like... I guess here's my question, right? Is James Dean sacrificing these people to the monument? Or is James Dean himself a monster too, a cognito hazard, being used by Nixon? And I'm saying Nixon because that's the only person who's been a consistent reoccurring character that James Dean keeps reporting back to. I don't know, but they haven't really mentioned him very much. Absolutely phenomenal video, by the way. Please go drop Manticore a like, a sub, all that good stuff if you're watching live. The links will be on the Discord. If you're watching on the VOD, please check it out down in the description below. Ayoo, Monodachis! Thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find links to the videos that we reacted to today down in the description below, along with my Oshi marks. I'll see you in the next video, Monos. Goodbye, and thank you so much for swinging by. Sadu!